What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Big Fight Fuel channel, where we speak the truth, we're honest, we give our takes on AEW. It is now Monday morning, September 4th, 2023, and this is your AEW All-Out review here on the Big Fight Fuel channel. I am so tired. It's been a long day. It's been a long weekend. It's been a long week. But we just got done watching what I thought was a really good fucking pay-per-view. And shout out to everybody at AEW who collectively came together. And despite the events that happened yesterday and everybody talking about CM Punk being fired and hijacking the show, and that All Out was going to get hijacked, and Tony Khan getting booed out of the building yesterday, the locker room came together and delivered us wrestling fans a really good pay-per-view. And that's exactly what we got tonight. And despite the 1 week bill for this show, despite everything was going on with CM Punk, AEW was able to collectively come together. The talent on this show was able to collectively come together and give us what we got. And that was a really good wrestling show for 4 hours. And it turned out to be one of my favorite shows of the entire year. I didn't think it was the best AEW pay-per-view I saw this year. All In was my favorite show, followed by Forbidden Door. This is around third. I'm not going to lie. This was a really good pay-per-view. There's a lot of good that happened on tonight's show. This was a mostly good show than it was a bad show. Jon Moxley is the Internationl champion, and people are finally giving Orange Cassidy his flowers after an incredible run as the AEW Internationl champion. Kenny Omega went one-on-one with Konosuke Takeshita tonight, and in the shock at the United Center, Konosuke Takeshita came out on top once again against Kenny Omega, and we'll talk about how Takeshita got his win clean over Kenny Omega later on in the show. My favorite match of the night, though, the strap match between Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks, which was made abruptly on Collision last night, was my favorite match of the entire night. An excellent match, which was absolutely brutal. A brutal, violent match between Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks. I think Bryan Danielson is not human. Commentary even said he was cleared to wrestle tonight, but he's not 100% from the injury with his match against Okada. Yet he went out there, he bled buckets, he was getting his ass kicked, and he whipped the shit out of Ricky Starks. I cannot wait to talk about that match. And between the two shows, I don't want to compare matches, but out of the two shows, there were some really good matches. And I think this might be a wild take, but out of both All In and All Out, my favorite match between both of those shows was this strap match tonight between Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks. And I got a lot to say about that match coming up. So we got a lot to get into tonight. I am very tired, but I'm going to push through this. I'm going to give you guys the best review that I possibly can because this show deserved it. It was a great pay-per-view. Chicago was a great crowd too. They did not hijack the show. The only thing that happened really was Chicago booing the Young Bucks, and they had a funny chant that was against CM Punk. And when you know that the Chicago crowd is not letting this show get in their way with the CM Punk thing, and they're just showing up and having a good time, that CM Punk was in the wrong all along. And the crowd, they had a great time tonight. And the CM Punk fans that had tickets didn't show up because of he being fired. Missed out on a great pay-per-view, man. So we've got a lot to talk about. I really don't want to waste much time. But I will say, if you haven't already, be sure to go ahead and check out the video I made yesterday about CM Punk being fired from AEW. It's up on my channel right now. And I also did a live stream today if you want to go check it out, talking about the show tonight, and talking a little bit more about CM Punk. If you want to go check that out, be my guest and go ahead and check out the video. So let's get into this action. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to start it off. I'm not even going to get into 0 Hour because it's not really worth it. I'm just going to get right into the main card. 10 matches on this main card. We kicked off the show tonight with the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles on the line. John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order challenging Better Than You, Baby, Adam Cole, and MJF. And this was MJF and Adam Cole retaining the ROH Tag Team titles against John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Pretty good tag team match to open up the show. It was pretty basic, to be honest. Old school style match. Baby faces selling the injury. Heels attack on the injury. They attack him behind the referee's back using an object. The story of this match was MJF's neck, selling it from the match with Adam Cole at All In. MJF did a shoulder block to Alex Reynolds, and then his neck started hurting. Dark Order attacked MJF from the outside. Then Alex Reynolds, he came in, and he took the steel chair, and he smacked MJF on the neck with it. MJF left the match. It was Dark Order versus Adam Cole 2-on-1. MJF came running out there. He hit the kangaroo kick onto Alex Reynolds. He tagged in Adam Cole to hit the double clothesline. He did exactly that, and they retained the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. Pretty simple match, simple story, and a good way to get the crowd going onto the show with MJF and Adam Cole retaining the tag team titles. Is it a match that people are going to be talking about at the end of the show? No, it's not, but it was a fun match for what it was, and it was very simple. So it was a good way to start the show, and the right outcome happened. MJF and Adam Cole retaining the tag team titles. The bigger story was after this match, because after this match, Samoa Joe came out, and Samoa Joe was making his entrance for his match against Shane Taylor for the TV title, and MJF is walking to the back, and this was a throwback to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2016, when Samoa Joe was the NXT champion, and MJF worked the show as a security guard, and Joe shoved MJF. Joe was walking to the ring, and he shoved the AEW World Champion, and MJF was pissed, and we got a huge brawl with MJF and Samoa Joe, and security had to come out and break it up. It was really good. And MJF tweeted out a couple minutes after the show. He said, "I'm not the kid you shoved in Brooklyn, motherfucker. Game on." And we are getting a Samoa Joe MJF feud coming out of this. And my God, take my fucking money, man, because That is going to be fantastic. And it's all coming to a circle, man. We're getting this moment from 2016. MJF and Cole. Right now, they got Roderick Strong and the Kingdom tied up with this. Roderick Strong's been walking around with a neck brace for months. And Samoa Joe was the man who injured Roderick Strong's neck. So this is all coming towards circle, and it's going to be really good storytelling. I really can't wait to I really can't wait to see what direction this goes into, because it's going to be really good. And then Samoa Joe, he had his match against Shane Taylor. Match was fine for what it was. Lasted around 10 minutes. I really didn't see a point for this to be on the show, but Samoa Joe taps out Shane Taylor with the Coquina Clutch, and he retained the Ring of Honor Television Championship. But the bigger story coming out of this is that we could get Samoa Joe versus MJF for the World Championship. And now there's possibilities, because AEW has another pay-per-view coming up October 1st, Wrestle Dream in Seattle. There's a possibility of getting Roderick Strong versus MJF at Grand Slam for the AEW World Championship. And then there's a possibility of Samoa Joe challenging MJF for the AEW World Championship at Wrestle Dream. And I really like where this is going. So I'm excited and I'm interested to see what direction Tony takes this into. Luchasaurus, along with Christian Cage, he defended the TNT Championship against Darby Allin. And Darby Allin, the man knows how to take a fucking ass-kicking, man. Darby Allin got his ass kicked in this match by Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus made Darby bleed, threw him into the ring steps, started kicking his face into the ring steps. That's how he was bleeding. Christian Cage was intimidating Nick Wayne, where Darby didn't know what to do, whether to coffin drop Luchasaurus or go save Nick Wayne, because Christian Cage was going to give him the concerto, but Darby decided to go for the coffin drop, and he missed Luchasaurus. The craziest spot of this match was both guys were on the top rope, and they were trying to figure out some move to do. Christian Cage was laid out from a suicide dive from Darby Allin, and Darby hits a code red off the top rope on with Luchasaurus, and he kicked out. Luchasaurus did, and then after that, basically, Christian made Darby decide: are you going to save Nick Wayne, or are you going to go for the coffin drop? He did not concerto. He did not give the concerto to Nick Wayne, and Darby still went for the coffin drop, and he missed. Luchasaurus throwing Darby to the turnbuckle, clothesline to the back of the head, and Luchasaurus retained the TNT Championship tonight. Christian Cage grabbed it immediately, starting celebrating with the title. He grabbed 2 steel chairs as he was going to give Darby Allin the concerto, while Luchasaurus was making Nick Wayne watch, and the rest of the locker room came out and saved Darby Allin from serious injury. Christian and Luchasaurus retreated, and Christian was kissing the TNT Championship. I thought this was a very good match. Darby Allin got his ass kicked, and Luchasaurus retained the TNT Championship, which is the right move, because right now the title is doing great around the waist of Christian Cage. So it's doing good right now. And I thought the match was very good. And this is where the evening picked up. This match right here. Powerhouse Hobbs versus Miro. And the first thing I will say before we get into the match was, number one, the crowd was on fire for this match. And I loved the fact that these two guys got a lot of time to show what they can do in a big match like this. This match was great. They had a great wrestling match out there. It was physical, lots of clotheslines. Miro starting the match off with a couple clotheslines, punting Hobbs in the face. Hobbs reverses it with his own clothesline, and the crowd starts to boo. Hobbs gives Miro a body slam, but Miro reversed it into another clothesline, and Hobbs kicked out. Miro went for 10 beats of the battering, but Hobbs, he escapes from it. So he had that scouted out from Miro. Back in the ring, Hobbs over the head suplex to Miro. Miro clipped his ankle on the rope, but seemed to be okay. Hobbs then beating up Miro some more on the ropes, and another over the head suplex. This is when the crowd really started to get in the match, because they were fighting on the outside. Miro was recovering, and the Chicago crowd at the United Center started chanting, "Slap that meat, slap that meat," because this match was two big meaty men looking to slap the meat off each other. This was awesome. This is when the crowd really started to come alive for this match, and the crowd picks this match up. So Hobbs, he hits a clothesline to Miro when he gets back in, and Miro kicks out at 2. Powerhouse Hobbs, another body slam to Miro, a running power slam, and Miro kicked out. This match was so good, the crowd started chanting, "Meat forever, meat forever," kind of like how they chant "Fight forever." This crowd was chanting "Meat forever" during Powerhouse and Miro. And these guys were going clothesline for clothesline. Hobbs was going clothesline to the head, clothesline to the neck, clothesline to the head. And every time Powerhouse Hobbs hit a clothesline, the crowd would chant, "Meat, meat, meat." And Miro, he then hits his clothesline. Crowd goes crazy. He hits the Machka kick to Powerhouse Hobbs. Crowd goes, "Meat!" And Hobbs kicks out of 2 of the Machka kick. Hobbs looks for the spine buster. Actually, Miro is on the top rope of the spine buster. And he hits a spine buster on his own. So Miro's on the second rope. He jumps to hit a move, and Hobbs catches him in midair and hits a spine buster, and Miro kicked out. And after that move right there, the crowd started chanting, "Holy meat, holy meat, holy meat." So this was fucking awesome, man. And then Hobbs looks to go for another spine buster. Miro hits a clothesline onto Powerhouse Hobbs. He hits a Machka kick. He goes for game over. And Powerhouse Hobbs looked like he barely tapped out. I really didn't even see him tap out at the end of that match, but I loved it. That match was great. And we are not done here. After the match, Miro is celebrating, and Powerhouse Hobbs, he offers a handshake to Miro. And Miro, he shakes his hand back, and Hobbs doesn't let go. Miro's looking back. Hobbs doesn't let go. Hobbs is like, "You're good. Respect, respect." So Miro lets go. He turns around. and Hobbs attacks Miro from behind. He's stomping away at Miro at the corner of the ring, and a theme song plays. And on the Titantron, it says "Hot and Flexible," and Miro's sexy hot wife, Lana, CJ Perry, came out to a huge ovation. The crowd loved it. She grabbed a chair. She hit Powerhouse Hobbs across the back with the chair. Hobbs was laughing. He got in CJ's face. Miro picked up the chair. He saw what was happening, and he hit Hobbs across the back. He hit Hobbs across the head. He was celebrating. He then looked across the ring from his hot wife, CJ Perry. He was looking around the ring. He was pandering around the ring. He left. He left his wife, and he said, "You are not real. You are not real." So I think her being here is only going to develop Miro's character. And I wouldn't mind. I really wouldn't mind if we saw another match between Powerhouse Hobbs and Miro after what we got tonight. They had a great match. The crowd played a huge part into it with the chants, with the meat, but these guys killed it. They had a great match, and CJ being here in AEW, Miro's wife, is only going to enhance his character. And I really hope that this gives him direction now on Collision, because before this feud, he really didn't have a direction. And he was in these 2-minute squash matches, and he's too good for that. We don't need to see Miro. I'm sorry about the camera. I'm trying to get comfortable here. We don't need to see Miro in squash matches every week to know how good he is. We know he's good. We know he's a great storyteller. We know he's a good wrestler. You just got to give him some good direction on Saturday nights or whenever he's on AEW television, and I'm sure he'll knock it out of the park. But this was a great match, and this was Powerhouse Hobbs' best match in AEW as well. I really hope we get him that direction too, because he's really good to not be on the show at least every other week. He's really fucking good, and he's came a long way since Daly's Place. Ruby Soho challenged Chris Statlander for the TBS Championship. I thought this was a pretty good match. I thought these ladies worked really well with each other. They've worked a lot of times in AEW before it, and I thought these ladies worked a good match. So you got Saraya acting like the heel here. Chris Statlander, she throws Ruby to the barricade, and Statlander sees Saraya with the spray, and she starts chasing Saraya around the ring, and Ruby's on the top of the apron. Statlander comes, and Ruby hits a missile drop kick to Chris Statlander, which looked really good. Both ladies are back in the ring. A high knee strike from Ruby to Statlander into an enziguri from Chris Statlander. Statlander then in the ring, uppercut to Ruby Soho into the big boot at the corner, but Ruby kicked out. More offense from both ladies. Ruby hits a roll-up into a kick out of 2, then a kick to the shin, and another roll-up for a 2 count. Statlander then picks him up, looks for Sunday Night Fever, but Ruby rolls through. She goes for another small package, and she kicks out Statlander. Statlander, later in the match, hits a clothesline to Ruby, powers her up across her body into an electric chair position, but Ruby, with a nice counter here, hits a Poison Rana to Statlander. She then hits a DDT onto Chris Statlander off after bouncing off the rope. She then hits a Hurricane Rana face plant to the apron, and Statlander barely kicked out. Then on the top apron, later in the match, Saraya goes to pass Ruby Soho the spray. She shows her the spray. It's like right over there. And Saraya starts arguing with the referee. Then out of nowhere, Toni Storm comes from underneath the ring, and she takes the spray paint away from Ruby Soho, and then Statlander hits Sunday Night Fever to retain the TBS Championship as Toni Storm is losing her mind on the stage and spraying the spray paint up on stage. So she's gone crazy, and now it feels like the Outcast has absolutely imploded after Saraya won the Women's Championship last week, and that is a great thing. It sucks that we keep having to ask ourselves, when's it time for Ruby? When is it Ruby's time to win a championship in AEW? She's been here for 2 years. She hasn't won anything yet. I'm hoping it's soon. And I'm hoping we get her away from the Outcast, and maybe she's the one who beats Saraya for the AEW Women's Championship, because God knows she deserves it. She absolutely deserves it. So, but good match here, and Statlander retained the TBS Championship. Buckle your seatbelts, folks. Buckle your seatbelts. We got a lot to talk about with this one. The strap match between Bryan Danielson and Absolute Ricky Starks. They set up this match last night, or now 2 nights ago, on Collision. And they had Bryan Danielson sign the contract to face Ricky Starks tonight. This match was excellent. Bryan Danielson wasn't even 100%. He's still recovering from the arm injury at Forbidden Door against Okada. And he's able to give us this type of match. It's unbelievable. This was Ricky Starks' coming out moment in AEW. He might have lost the match, but this match has hopefully elevated Ricky Starks to that next level if he wasn't there already. And I already think he's at that level. But now that CM Punk is gone from AEW, one of the main focuses on Saturday nights must be Ricky Starks. He's world championship material. So, let's talk about this match. Danielson, this match doesn't even start in time because Ricky doesn't want to get strapped up against Danielson, and he goes the cheap way, and he throws him to the outside. He's not strapped up yet, and he grabs the weight belt that he walked out to the ring with, and he starts whipping Bryan Danielson with it, and he whips him with it like about 5 times. He then takes the weight belt, wraps it around his shoulder, and punches Bryan Danielson in the face with the metal part of the strap and Bryan Danielson comes out all gushed up and all in blood. And these guys are going at it for a couple minutes. And Ricky is whipping Bryan Danielson. And Danielson is coming back. And he starts. They're fighting on the outside. They're fighting in front of commentary. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is sitting right there. And Bryan Danielson starts whipping Ricky Starks. And my God, when I can tell you that I heard those whips from my TV to the United Center, those were some loud fucking echoes, man. That had to fucking hurt Ricky Starks, man. 8 to 10 lashes to the back. Ricky is then hung up upside down later in the match. And Bryan Danielson starts whipping him again. And one of the lashes that Ricky took, he took one across the mouth. And I'm like, oh my goodness. That fucking hurt. And he gave 3 straight drop kicks to the face of Ricky Starks after those rips when Ricky was held upside down. Ricky then started whipping Bryan Danielson. And Danielson's like, is that all you got? And then these guys, they go head for head. Danielson whips Ricky across the head. Ricky whips Danielson across the head. One time, Ricky gets advantage, whipping him across the head multiple times. Then they do it again, and Danielson whips him across the head multiple times. Then Danielson does the yes kicks, and he starts whipping him after every kick. Ricky is dead beat at this point. Big Bill comes in the match when Danielson attempts the running knee. Steamboat gets off commentary, gets Big Bill off the apron, starts chopping Big Bill, and Bill has him in a choke slam position, and Danielson throws Ricky Starks over the top rope onto Big Bill, and he does a huge crossbody on the outside to both Ricky Starks and Big Bill. They're both in the ring. Ricky is thrown into the ring by Danielson. Yes, chants are starting. And he goes for the running knee. And Ricky hits a spear out of nowhere to Bryan Danielson. I thought that was it. I thought it was it right there. Bryan Danielson kicked out. Ricky then gets him in the overhead position. He goes for Rochambeau. Bryan Danielson gets out. Ricky goes for a clothesline. Bryan Danielson ducks. Bryan Danielson hits the Psycho knee. Ricky Starks kick out. Then Bryan's like, you know what? It's time to kick his fucking head in. He keeps kicking his head in. And Bryan Danielson puts the label lock on Ricky. And when Ricky doesn't start tapping out, Bryan Danielson, this maniac, ties the strap around the neck of Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks' face turns purple, and Ricky Starks passes out, and Bryan Danielson wins the strap match. So Ricky did not tap out. He passed out. And they kind of protected him there. After a brutal match like that, it would be pretty easy to pass out. With the label lock, with a strap, with Bryan Danielson strangling your neck like that, it's very easy to pass out from that. And that match was excellent. And between both matches, between both shows, All In and All Out, my favorite match was this match right here with Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks. These guys absolutely brought it. The fact that Danielson is not even 100% cleared and he put on the type of match he did tonight with Ricky Starks just goes to prove to you even more he's the best wrestler in the world. And he brung out easily the best match of Ricky Starks' career. Now, there's a report earlier, according to Fightful, that with now CM Punk gone, Bryan Danielson is going to be the main face of Collision. And I fucking love that. So, I'm going to get a tissue real quick before we talk about the next match. My apologies, but as I said, Bryan Danielson is now set to be the new face of Saturday nights. And I honestly would have zero complaints if he continued this feud with Ricky Starks. Because I really thought Ricky Starks was going over in this match. And I kind of wanted Ricky to win. So, if they continue this feud on Collision, and they have another match, this time a singles match, and Ricky wins clean, I wouldn't mind that at all. I would actually love to see it. So, we'll see, man. Excellent match, though. I would absolutely go back and watch this match. And unfortunately, for Eddie Kingston, Shibata, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta, they had to follow that match. And, I mean, it was okay. I really wasn't into it because of that strap match. Claudio and Yuta got the win after an uppercut from Claudio, and that was it. Eddie Kingston's gonna want revenge on Claudio now for getting another win over him. It's gonna make him want to go for the Ring of Honor title even more. Eddie wanted to fight Claudio the whole time, and Claudio is acting like a bitch until he tagged himself in the match and started uppercutting Eddie Kingston and getting the win over Eddie Kingston in this tag team match. So we're going to move on, and we go from that to Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita. And on a night where I thought this was going to be the best match of the night, this was the third best match of the night. And these two guys still put on a great fucking match. This match was great. And the crowd was really into it too. And I think the result made the match better. So, Omega wearing some throwback gear to his days at DDT. Takeshita, fucking 5 minutes into this match, reverse a Snapdragon from Kenny Omega, and he gives him a back suplex to Kenny, and he lands on his fucking side of the head like this. And it looked fucking disgusting. It looked gross seeing Kenny land like that. So Takeshita is targeting the neck, and Kenny throws him to the ring post, and he gets him on top of his shoulders, and he hits "You Can't Escape" on the outside, stands up on the guardrail, and hits a moonsault onto Konosuke Takeshita. Really nice stuff. So both guys are back in the ring. Later in this match, Takeshita Irish whips Kenny to the ropes. Takeshita misses, and he hits a huge clothesline onto Kenny Omega when he ducks elbows and a clothesline from Omega. He gets that jumping leap start, and he hits a big clothesline onto Kenny Omega. Omega gets some offense in on Takeshita. Takeshita's on the outside, and Omega hits a big springboard onto Kenny Omega. Omega hits a big springboard onto Takeshita on the outside. I'm sorry I'm starting, man. I'm tired. So Omega, he throws him in the ring. And he then goes for the V-trigger. Takeshita reverses it. Omega stands up on his feet after a back suplex. And Takeshita returns the favor. Omega, he blocks a knee strike, an elbow strike from Takeshita. Kenny blocks a knee strike from Takeshita again. He gets his own V-trigger. Kenny, he's going for a clothesline here, and Takeshita hits a huge clothesline onto Kenny Omega for a close near fall. Now both guys are on the top rope, and it looks like Kenny is trying to hit an avalanche one-winged angel from the top rope. And Takeshita reverses it, and he gets knocked down, and he gets back up. And this motherfucker hit a top rope blue thunder bomb onto Kenny Omega for a really close near fall. Absolutely sick spot, man. Takeshita, I thought, was going to have the match won right there. That was a horrible landing for Kenny and a not good landing for Takeshita either. So then Takeshita, he's freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. And Don Callis, he tells Takeshita to go distract the ref. And Don Callis, he has the screwdriver in his hand. And he's going to do the same finish he did in that cage match. He's going to hit Kenny across the head with the screwdriver. Don Callis missed. The screwdriver goes into the ring canvas. Kenny Omega sees this, what Callis is trying to pull. Takeshita grabs Kenny from behind. Kenny hits a V-trigger onto Konosuke Takeshita. The referee distracted by Omega. Omega hits another V-trigger onto Konosuke Takeshita. He goes for one-winged angel. Takeshita has the screwdriver on his hand, but the referee sees the screwdriver in Takeshita's hand, and the referee throws it on the outside of the ring. Takeshita rolls forward. Kenny, though, gets the small package. Takeshita over the head suplex to Kenny Omega for a close near fall. And then Takeshita, after that suplex, hits a huge knee onto Kenny Omega. He hits another knee, and Kenny kicked out at 2. And Takeshita pulls the knee pad down, hits a thunderous knee strike to Kenny Omega, and Konosuke Takeshita pins Kenny Omega twice in 7 days. Takeshita defeated Kenny Omega in a 6-man match, and now Takeshita has defeated Kenny Omega in a singles match too. This match was great, and this was absolutely the right outcome, because now the whole story is Kenny cannot win big matches without Don Callis. Kenny has not won a big singles match since Don Callis betrayed him back in May. He lost to Moxley. He lost Anarchy in the Arena. He lost to Will Ospreay. He won in Blood and Guts. But then he loses the 6-man tag. And tonight, he lost to Konosuke Takeshita. And now Takeshita is the new god of pro wrestling. And now that Don Callis, I fucking hate the guy. He's one of the most frustrating humans in wrestling. Don Callis is going to be even more insufferable on AEW television. And I expect that to start as soon as this week. So, we go to the 8-man tag. FTR and the Young Bucks against Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, Juice Robinson, and the Guns. Nothing against these guys, but I'm gonna move on with this fast because I want to get to the main event. So we are going to start at the point where Austin Gunn is suplexed by Dax Harwood. Young Bucks or Cash hits a frog splash. Matt Jackson hits an elbow drop, and Nick Jackson hits a 450 onto Austin Gunn for a close near fall. Which, by the way, if you're asking, the Young Bucks were booed in this match, and the Chicago crowd did a sing-along of "Oh, Cry Me a River, Oh, Cry Me a River." And the crowd was very into this match. They were booing the Young Bucks. They were cheering Bullet Club Gold. They were cheering for FTR. This match was really fun. And at the end, through all the chaos, Jay White hit Blade Runner onto Cash, and Colton Gunn got the win over Cash Wheeler. Does this mean that the Guns are getting a shot at FTR for the tag team titles? I certainly wouldn't mind it. But the end goal of all of this is for Jay White and Juice Robinson to defeat FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championships. But this was a really fun 8-man tag team match. I would go out of your way and watch this. But we get to our main event. The main event of the evening for the AEW International Championship. Jon Moxley, Orange Cassidy. And I really love how they made this feel big when they show Blackpool Combat Club walking Moxley out to the ring. Bryan Danielson was there with his hand bandaged up. Claudio was there to hype up Mox. Wheeler Yuta was there. And then Mox goes out. The same thing happened with Orange Cassidy. He's getting ready to go out to the ring. Trent's there. Chuck Taylor is there. And the TBS champion Chris Statlander is even there too. So this feels like a huge match. The crowd was really behind Orange Cassidy. We're going to start right here. Orange Cassidy hits a crossbody onto Jon Moxley, but Jon Moxley rolls backwards and he starts kicking Orange Cassidy's head in with an homage to Bryan Danielson. Moxley taking the boos, hits a suplex, but Orange Cassidy counters it into a DDT and hits a suicide onto Moxley on the outside. He's then in the ring. He hits a DDT, but it's countered by Moxley, and then he hits that suplex that Moxley hits, where it looks like he's suplexing you to the back, but he's suplexing you forward instead. I don't know what the move's called, so my apologies. He's got Orange Cassidy on the top rope, and this is after Orange Cassidy and Moxley, they are fighting on the outside, and Moxley has thrown Orange Cassidy to the ring post, and he threw him over the announce table, and he's punching him in the head, and he comes up, and he is in a pool of blood. This motherfucker is bleeding really hard, and he's bleeding buckets out there. So Moxley, he's got him on the top rope. And this psychopath bites his head while he's on the top rope. Then he goes for a suplex. Orange Cassidy reverses it. He scratches Moxley's back as hard as he can, digging his fingernails into his back. And then he returns the favor and bites the face of Jon Moxley. He then hits a draping DDT onto Jon Moxley. And then he hits a swinging DDT onto Moxley for a close near fall. Orange Cassidy is in a chokehold from Jon Moxley. And Orange Cassidy, he fights out of it. He tries to Moxley with the armbar, and Orange Cassidy rolls out of it. Then Jon Moxley hits the label lock, and Orange Cassidy, he rolls out of that as well for a close near fall. And then Moxley gets on it again, but Orange Cassidy's leg is on the ropes. Orange Cassidy, he then has his hands in his pockets, and he kicks Moxley lightly. And for every kick, he starts hitting him harder and harder and harder. So this is not typical Orange Cassidy where he's giving you soft kicks. He is trying to kick the shit out of Jon Moxley. No pun intended. He then goes for a super kick, and Moxley gives him a huge lariat, but Orange Cassidy gets right back up just to take another lariat from Jon Moxley, and then another lariat, and Orange Cassidy kicks out at 2. Moxley picks up Orange Cassidy, hits Death Rider, and Orange Cassidy kicks out. Later in the match, Orange Cassidy, he hits Orange Punch. He hits it again, and Moxley kicks out. And then he goes to hit it for another time, and then a second time, and a third time he tries to go hit it. Moxley hits Paradigm Shift, and Orange Cassidy kicks out. Orange Cassidy kicks, he gets back up. He gives Moxley the double middle finger. Moxley grabs him for another Paradigm Shift. And Orange Cassidy's reign as the International Champion has came to an end. So after kicking out of not one, but 2 Paradigm Shifts, and receiving another one, make it 3, Jon Moxley wins the AEW International Championship from Orange Cassidy. And the Blackpool Combat Club come out to celebrate with Moxley when the match is over. After the match, crowd gives Orange Cassidy their flowers, chanting, "Thank you, Orange, thank you, Orange, thank you, Orange," as All Out goes off the air. And I'll say this. I sent out a tweet before this match started. I'm going to try to go find it. I said, people made fun of Orange Cassidy, saying he would never make it in AEW. His gimmick was horrible. He can't wrestle. He can't hang with everybody else. He will never be champion. Yet he was the AEW International Champion for 326 days and was in the main event with one of the MVPs of the company, Jon Moxley. And I think the guy should have been given his flowers after the match he had with Pac. But people continued to doubt him. And then Chris Jericho put him over. And people doubted him still. And then, I forgot what he did after that, but he had a huge match last year against Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay wanted to fucking work with Orange Cassidy. And they had one of the best matches of 2022. And he proved at that match he can hang with the best in the world. And then he went on to win the International Championship from PAC. And he defended the championship 31 times. 31 times Orange Cassidy defended the AEW International Championship. And even though he lost tonight, even though he lost that championship for Jon Moxley, Orange Cassidy came out a winner. And Orange Cassidy gave us an incredible reign as the AEW International Champion. So I'm going to end off with that, which overall tonight was a really good fucking pay-per-view. After the shit events that happened yesterday, the locker room had something to prove tonight, and they delivered you a great wrestling show for 4 hours, and they told you that they're going to be just fine without CM Punk. I'm getting out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Big Fight Fuel channel. Again, I will be on here tomorrow. I said for weeks that there's a lot of AEW content coming up here on the channel with All Out, All In, and now this extra bullshit with CM Punk and Jack Berry and CM Punk being fired from AEW. I've really been nonstop with the AEW content. All Out finished, and it's fucking football season. And I'm kicking into football content starting tomorrow. I'm going to upload a video for you guys. My 2023 expectations for Tua Tagovailoa. And then Tuesday, my expectations for the Miami Dolphins and my season preview. I think with football starting, I'm going to take a break from the AEW content a little bit. I know I really don't want to, but number one, this drama is driving me insane, and I need a break. And football is starting, and class starts Tuesday, and I'm going to focus on that. So probably the next AEW review, the next AEW show I'm going to review is probably Grand Slam. So that's a couple weeks away. That's not really too far away. So the next AEW show I'm going to be reviewing here on the channel is Grand Slam. But it's football season, it's Dolphins season, and most of my content is now Miami Dolphins. Starting basically today. Starting today, most of my content is going to be Miami Dolphins. And that starts with my season expectations for Tua Tagovailoa. Then we go Tuesday with my season preview and the Dolphins expectations. Friday or Thursday, I will drop my preview for the Los Angeles Chargers Dolphins game. And then Sunday, the first post-game recap video of the 2023 season, the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Chargers. I'll talk more about it this week, but my God, I'm so tired. Just like it says on Orange Cassidy's Titantron, I am so tired. And Joseph Conlon is very tired. So he's wrapping it up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Big Fight Fuel channel. Comment down below your thoughts about AEW All Out. Hit the like button if you like what you heard from me. And follow me on Twitter at Conlon_Joseph. And I will see you later on with a video about my season expectations for Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. So I'm getting out of here. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you in the next video. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy. I'm out. Peace.